Hello everyone, I'm back in my room again, and this time we have a new update to share. So let's just get right to it, shall we? Today was quite a boring day, although there was a few funny things that happened that I should probably talk about, make this more interesting for y'all. You see, I switched shifts with one of my coworkers, and I believed that I needed to be at work today on a 1 to 10 shift. But when I arrived and I asked the managers about it, it turns out that that was actually tomorrow, not today. So I went through the whole rigmarole of getting dressed, combing my hair, and driving on to work for nothing, other than a few nice smiles from my awesome coworkers. So it was not a complete loss. But there was another funny thing about that whole event that happened, and that funny thing was that I had actually planned my day today, yesterday, before I thought that I needed to be at work today. I had a whole schedule written down. I had my reasons for doing everything written down. I had my overall goals written down, and I was ready to execute the plan. But then I got a call from, well, not a call, but a text from one of my coworkers telling me that, by the way, you have my shift. Now, realistically, the best thing I really should have done was asked, what day is it again? I forgot. But because I was told last night, I blindly assumed that it was today. Big oops on my part. So when I woke up this morning, I was very, I guess you could say, not very motivated to do everything I wrote on my list at all. In fact, I just went back to my default mode, which is doom scrolling on social media and listening to podcasts that relate around technology news while eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. In fact, I watched a Digital Foundry video again today about the new Monster Hunter game and how it's a piece of garbage in terms of its technological makeup on PC. On console, it looked fine. I watched the console version. That looked okay. But anyways, we're getting off track here. Was really pumped up to do all the things I had on the list today because I thought it was my day off. And then when I believed it was a day I needed to be at work, I was less inclined to do everything because I had built my schedule around it being a day that I had off. But fear not, for I actually decided to ask help from the current smartest AI chatbot around. I know, right? Claude 3.7 Sonnet, with the thinking button pushed, I might add. And what I was told was that you need to be adaptable, you need to be flexible, you need to expect the unexpected, and not everything is going to go according to plan. So I was like, okay, yeah, I guess I could get behind that. Let's make the schedule for tomorrow, since I know for sure that I go to work tomorrow, and I want to get a few things done so I feel satisfied with that day. And so we got to work, and, all of this work was really funny because I actually at that time, I thought, this was before I went to work, I thought I still needed to be at work today and that I had tomorrow off. So when I arrived and I found out I didn't have work, I was driving home laughing my head off because I realized that, dang, I just spent an insane amount of time on a list that is no longer relevant anymore. Misunderstandings, and I guess I should let this be a good life lesson for me to not assume everything. Because when you assume, it makes a donkey out of you and me. Out of who? It should have been my initiative to ask for that, what day it was, to my fellow coworker, and I didn't, so I take the blame on that. Moving along, what I remember after arriving home was that I decided to recreate a list for tomorrow based and also for the rest of the day. And so I rearranged everything, and I had this big, beautiful list that I was going to do for the day. I was going to study editing. I was going to study art. I was going to do some recycling. I was going to have a great wind down routine. I was going to have some really great family time. And I was going to start exactly at 2, starting with the editing progress. Then I got a call from my mom, and she said she wanted us to make hamburgers at 2. And so all of that work that I put in went out the door, because then I suggested, hey, how about I pick up some French fries from a nearby restaurant for us to go with the homemade burgers? And she agreed. So that's exactly what I did. Now, I will say I enjoyed every minute of time I spent with my mom. We had these delicious burgers she made. They were amazing. The fries weren't half bad either. And we watched a new episode of one of our favorite YouTube channels, Casual Geographic, as recommended by my mom. This guy, if you haven't watched him, he's really funny. He's really into animals, and he likes talking about every different types of species of animals in a very funny, modern sense of humor, I guess you could say. But it's like for a very specific type of audience, like people who are into pop culture, or I don't know, cartoons or the internet or whatever. And but my mom thought it was funny, even though she's kind of removed from that type of culture. The way the guy is able to deliver his lines is really funny. So yeah, but then my mom got curious about politics after we were done watching those videos. One was about cute animals and one was about gorillas being devious. And so she wanted to watch the latest stuff that was going on in the White House. And so we watched this exchange between the president of Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky, and the president of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. And things got really heated at the end. It was pretty crazy. I mean, oh man, it basically started off all right, but then JD Vance was in there in the meeting, which was all televised, by the way, which is very unusual for these big meetings to happen. Usually they happen behind closed doors, but I think this might be the first time that a big meeting like this was happening right in front of the cameras for everyone in the world to see. Which I honestly don't know if that was a good idea. I feel like if you're trying to negotiate and make deals that are going to be satisfactory for an entire country or a group of people or individuals, then that kind of negotiation requires subtlety, requires thought, requires just a very well-advised approach. But the way things went, it felt like the stimuli that was put upon the whole situation was sensationalizing it and making it difficult to really get to a strong solution that everyone was happy with. And Zelensky, you know, he's not happy with what Putin's done. I mean, Putin's basically kept in prisoners of war. He's threatened Zelensky with trying to bring Ukraine back in to Russia, and Trump, he apparently wants to be a peacemaker and stop this. And Zelensky wanted to have help through, I guess, I don't know, something to help defend against Ukraine. But then I remember JD Vance went in and talked about like not knowing confrontations or sacrifices or something like that. I honestly don't really remember the exact wording, but that caught Zelensky off guard, and he basically was telling JD that, look, there's a big ocean dividing you guys and us, this whole war, but you wouldn't like it if these, you know, Russian missiles or tanks or threats were coming after you, right? But I guess when Trump heard that, he took it as a threat because of the way Zelensky kind of said it. He thought it sounded threatening, like there's a big ocean separating you two, but if the ocean wasn't there, you wouldn't like it. And I guess apparently Trump found that very disrespectful. And JD said, you haven't thanked us once. And Zelensky said, no, I thank you plenty. And then Trump got off on an angry tangent about how he's like very ungrateful for, you know, them trying to negotiate and talk about a deal when he apparently, I guess he felt like he was under threat by what Zelensky wanting to escalate things. That was his reason for it. Like, so you're not in this for peace. You're in this just to bolster your defenses and have an even bigger standing against Russia. But I mean, Ukraine's trying to defend itself. Russia Putin imposed this war and took in prisoners, and Ukraine went in, trying to stop this whole thing. But this war's been ongoing for like 3 years, and I guess. But anyways, yeah, it was really crazy watching this whole thing play. He got really mad at the end, and even said this is gonna make great TV. Yeah, I mean, I guess it did. Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about it. And by great TV, I mean, boy, was that a greatly interesting exchange. Well, I guess we're going to have to wait until tensions decrease, and hopefully the meeting with that Putin fellow won't escalate things as much as they've seemed to be escalating. But I'm not holding my breath, but I guess we'll let time tell. I was just watching the news and reacting to it with my mom, and she wanted to do it in the first place, so I obliged. And then my sister came in, and my mom wanted to show the news and the whole outburst that happened between Zelensky, Trump, and JD, and so they all watched that, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. Then we went for a walk, but before we did, I wanted to test out these new VR lenses that I got for my PSVR 2 headset. And the reason I got them is because the PSVR 2 headset has this issue known as Mira, where the screens have sort of a film grain effect and they look kind of fuzzy. And so I was watching a video on YouTube saying that this gets rid of the Mira effect. It makes your games look clearer. And so I was like, okay, sure, I'll get it. No, it doesn't. I know this because I took one of the lenses off, I put it in the headset, I closed one eye and opened the other on the one with the lens, on the one without the lens. Looked the gosh darn shame. And I switched to the other one just to make sure. Completely unsatisfied with my purchase from VR Rock. The false expectations set by that fellow on the internet that suggested they would get rid of Mira were not met. And yeah, it just was an overall disappointing and unremarkable experience. And yeah, I'm trying to get a refund now because I spent a good like $50 on those lenses. I did not like what I saw. I just thought that the results were unnoticeable and therefore lousy. Because if it didn't fulfill what I was expecting it to fulfill, then why do I even have them in the first place? To protect the lenses? That, I don't know, seems kind of superfluous to me. I'll just not scratch them. Yeah, so anyways, after that whole disappointing thing, my mom needed to go to work, and then my sister wanted to go to the gym, but I wanted to show her my goggles I use for my VR headset that help reduce Mira, although they don't really do a good job getting rid of it, or they steam up really easily. What can you do? And on top of that, oh yeah, I wanted to show her these things called the X-Real ones, which are a pair of augmented reality glasses. Well, in reality, they're basically just glasses with a screen on them that is projected thanks to the special lens on the glasses. And I think I've already said my piece on that in an earlier video. All you need to know is it's like a cinema screen that weighs 85 grams on your face. And I think that's cool and I want one. There you go. All right. Yeah, and then we talked about how you can filter dirty swamp water if you're in the wilderness with 2 glass jars and a tree branch. This is some really cool information I learned a long time ago that just randomly popped in my head that I was like talking about with my sister. I don't remember how the conversation even started, but is if you want some fresh drinking water that is disinfected and won't give you dysentery, and you just so happen to have 2 glass jars with you in the wilderness, you put the swamp water in one jar, then you have the empty jar next to it, then you get a tree branch and you bend it, and you put one end in the swamp water and the other end in the empty glass bottle. And then water actually travels up through the tree branch and then drips at the other end in the empty bottle. And what makes this cool is that the tree branch actually already has like a good filtration filtration system built into the branch naturally. And then after a while, from dripping, you'll have yourself some clean drinking water. But to ensure that it's completely safe to drink, leave it out in the sun for like a good 10, 15, 30 minutes, something like that. I mean, don't quote me on that. This is not advice. This is just what I'm remembering. You know, if you want real advice, look for a real expert at this. This is just me trying to remember a video I watched. So there you go. But yeah, apparently you put it in the sun for a while and it kills any remaining bacteria. And then you drink it and yeah, you should be good to go. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. There's a video on YouTube that demonstrates this. I don't know exactly what the title is, but definitely check it out if you have the time. Anyways, after all of that, she needed to leave. She wanted to leave to the gym. And yeah, I decided to go into my VR headset and watch a video about how robots are taking over the world. Basically, going after entry-level jobs in various places from China to Japan to Germany to Russia. It's crazy. They like have these robots that can be baristas or robots that can cook and flip burgers. And the reason why a lot of these automated robots are becoming popular in this day and age is because a lot of the countries that they're popular in, for example, this is what I learned from this video that I was watching. Again, don't quote me on this. This is just what I heard in the video. I'm not going to say this is true. I'm just saying this is what I got. But if you really want to know the truth, maybe actually research and verify it. Always, I encourage research. Never take anyone's word for face value on the internet, because even if they seem like they know what they're talking about, they might be missing pieces of information and might be spreading bits of misinformation. So which is why the internet's great, because you can fact check and see if what they're telling is the truth or not. So yeah, that's my PSA. Anyways, apparently the video said that the reason why automated robots are becoming popular in service industry areas in places like Japan and China is because the population crisis is legit in those areas, and families aren't having as many kids as they used to, and so there are strong job shortages in those markets. And in order to compensate, they need to have these robots fill in for these positions to keep the economy running in those areas. Pretty crazy, isn't it? I thought so, but yeah, it's crazy. Then my family friend arrived, and we decided it would be fun if we all watched, me, my mom, and my mom's friend, and my friend, watched the new Despicable Me 4 that is now available on Netflix. My mom's friend is a huge fan of the Minions, and she wanted to watch it with us. So I was like, why not? And, excuse me, before we started, I actually made homemade popcorn. I used clarified butter, otherwise known as ghee, 1/4 of a cup of that, popped it into a pan, got half a cup of popcorn, popped 3 kernels in, then I put one of those strainers on instead of a lid, because I hear that in order to get the most crispiest popcorn, you need all of the steam to dissipate from the popcorn that emanates from the oil to ensure a crispy finish to your popcorn. And then after all 3 of those entry-level kernels pop, I put the rest of the half cup of kernels in. I take it off of the heat and shake all of the kernels around, making sure each one is evenly coated. And then after the 30-second mark, I put them back on the heat. And what this does is it brings the temperature of the heat down to an even temperature to ensure even cooking for all kernels, and that all kernels pop, and that you get a perfectly cooked bowl of popcorn. And I also put a 1/4 cup of regular grass-fed butter to the microwave for about 50 seconds. Heated that, it melted, and then once all the kernels popped, I had to stay away because since I was using the strainer as a lid to help the steam dissipate, there was oil coming out of the strainer, and some of it got on me, and I didn't want to, have my face sprayed with hot oil. That doesn't sound like a great idea. But after the popcorn was done, you have to immediately put it in a separate bowl because despite the strainer helping the steam dissipate, there's steam trapped at the very bottom of the popcorn that is popped. That's going to make the rest of the popcorn soggy. And no one likes soggy popcorn, right? So of course I had to immediately take it out and put it in a bowl. And then I put some butter on top, drizzled it, and mixed it in as I was doing that. And of course, some salt. And I just salted to taste until it tasted just right. Spread it evenly between me, my mom, and our family friend. And cracked out a 7-Up Zero. And we got to watching some Despicable Me 4. Now, we didn't finish the movie. It was only up till around the 50-minute mark that we decided to finish the rest tomorrow. Honestly, I don't know if we're going to finish it tomorrow because I have to be at work from 1 to 10. I don't think any of my family members are going to be awake during that time. So we're probably going to finish it the day after tomorrow. But then again, the Oscars is happening. My mom wants to watch it because Conan O'Brien is hosting, and I love Conan O'Brien. I think the guy's gosh dang hilarious. So yeah, there you go. I don't know if we're ever going to finish it. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. If we have the time, we will. How's that sound? Anywho, from the first 50 minutes of the film, it's fine. It's exactly what you'd expect from a Despicable Me movie. Lots of minion antics, lots of funny family humor, and just a general happy vibe. I don't know, happy, goofy, fun, lighthearted, silly vibe. There you go. That's my review of Despicable Me for the first 50 minutes. It's got fun, expressive, cartoony animation. It's got a creepy cockroach man in it for some reason. I guess they like being kind of edgy and unexpected with those movies. And it's got just a lot of funny gags for... My mom thought it was hilarious. She thought the Minions were a lot of fun. She enjoyed the Minions, and seeing her laugh at their antics made me laugh at their antics. And there's nothing better than that, honestly. Well, anyways, our family friend was getting tired, so we decided to pause it and put a pin on it until later. Then I went into my room and I watched some political analysis on that whole exchange between those two presidents earlier today. And then I realized that I needed to record my update video before it got too late, and so that's exactly what I did. Just like that, here we are. Now, I do have a schedule written down for tomorrow that has been adjusted to accommodate the fact that I need to be at work by 1 tomorrow. So, wish me luck. Hopefully, we will get all that done. In fact, I better share it with you, so maybe you could ask me about it in the comments section for later. Let's see. Okay, so I plan on waking up at 8 o'clock, and I will, of course, be hydrating. I want to do some morning yoga, at least 15 minutes. Then, of course, a uninterrupted 60 minutes of a creative activity. I plan on editing this motion comic that I've been neglecting for quite a while. I don't know if I should call it motion comic. No one really moves in this motion comic. It's basically just the camera panning from one, what do you call those, panels to the next. Then breakfast and short break. Then, of course, skill development. And I plan on making this me teaching myself how to draw or edit, honestly, whichever one I prefer. And then, of course, at around 11:30, there must be shift preparations because I need to leave by 1. And of course, lunch, because 4 hours separate from breakfast. Wait, really? 4 hours? 10 to 11:30? 12:30. I don't know. That seems a little early. It's weird how I wrote that. I'm gonna have to rethink how I write schedules. But anyways, then I go to work. And then when I arrive back home at around 10, there's my decompression transition. I turn on my sleep monitor, I take my vitamins, brush my teeth, and go to sleep. So if I can do all of that tomorrow, I will be a very satisfied man. All right, well, I think that'll have to do it for now. Thank you for tuning in, and take care, everybody. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day.